What is up, guys? We have the biggest amateur national in the world. We have it at Loretta Lynn's. Here's some stuff you can expect next week at Loretta Lynn's. I brought in a couple experts, and James, who's actually there, and Coach Robb, who really knows the amateurs. I want to thank my sponsors, Nano Extreme, Coach Robb, of course, AJ Wright's Crypto. Get over there and enter to win that Tesla. Alias MX Gear, Precision Transport, and Ride Strapped. So without further ado, here is James Jetmar and Coach Robb talking Loretta Lynn's.
You need people like me so you can point your fucking fingers and say, that's the bad guy.
So James Jetmar, you have been to Loretta's quite a bit lately, or in the last few years, or you haven't been able to, but you qualified this year. What's going on this year?
Nothing. Good to see you, Chris. Same old, same old. Just I've always been riding. It's just that luck didn't go my way in some of the regionals the past couple of tries, but this time it panned out for me. So I'm pretty excited to head back. It's been 3 years since I've been back, so excited.
So what classes are you running, and what kind of expectations do you got going to the ranch?
So I'm plus 50, and then I'm sitting right now first alternate and plus 45. So hopefully I'll get in with that. So we'll see. But at least I'll get my 2 practices in, definitely. As far as my expectations, I don't know. It's been a while. I mean, I'd love to say if I could get under the tent. I honestly, well, yeah, you know what? Yeah, hopefully I could get under the tent. If I could get under the tent, top 10, I would be pumped. Definitely.
So walk me through Loretta Lynn's. A lot of people go, we watch it on Racer TV, but we don't know what. Walk me through the event. So you're prepping, you got your list, you're heading out there, you get there the day before, do you go through tech inspection? Walk me through that process.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. It's I'm in the middle of loading up right now. You can't see, but my shirt is soaking wet. It'll start drying out here and you'll notice it. But yeah, like buddy of mine, he just got there today, and that's almost even worse because your friends are getting there, and you're like, "Oh man, how's it looking? Is it filling up? You got a spot for me?" And so then you get even more anxious of loading up. But yeah, just I'm giving myself a full day. I rode up until yesterday, then I cycled yesterday as well. Today is nothing but loading up, all day event. First, I got to load the van up, then I got to load the camper up, making my list, checking it about 5 times, and still missing things each single time. My wife was gracious enough to go to the food store with me, so we knocked that out, load everything up, and then we're gonna head out. It's just gonna be my daughter and I heading there. We're gonna head out tomorrow first thing in the morning, get there just prior to dinner, and hopefully be able to find a spot. Normally we sneak in some spot in Stagecoach or somewhere like that under the trees, and spend the rest of tomorrow evening loading up, unloading, leveling everything, getting our little pit area set up, and then Saturdays I always like to go to the chapel service. Kevin, his last name is slipping my mind. Kevin Kozad does a great chapel service, so we'll go there in the morning. Then we got packages to pick up at the little post office there. My daughter and I may go on a bicycle ride. Oh, and then track walk and registration. Registration for the vet guys I think starts at 4. So track walk is somewhere in between there. And then stop off at KTM. KTM always has some, prizes or.
So this is on Sunday because you'll be driving all day tomorrow, right?
Yeah, this will be Sunday. Yeah, Sunday. Yeah, and then Monday. Then so yeah, we'll get registered Sunday. Then Sunday evening they have a presentation for like a welcoming presentation, and then I think they have like normally they'll have some type of performance from a singer or some kind of group. I think this year it's Loretta Lynn's granddaughter. I think maybe. I could be wrong. We'll see. But it's a nice show that they put on. And then we go back to go back. Hopefully don't get stuck in or get into any golf cart accidents on the way back to the camper, and get ready for the next day, which is practice. So yeah.
So you're camping out?
Yep. Yeah.
Now, you have? I hear some people say get a hotel, some people say camp. What would you tell somebody that was going there for the first time?
So I don't know. So the very first time we went, my son and I were in the toy hauler, and then my daughter and wife were in the hotel. And you did the hotel right down the road. So the hotel right down the road, I think there's three of them. One of them is a Marriott property, but that's really hard to get into. The other two, I think, was something Kings. That's where they stayed, and it was fine, and they were able to get a decent room for a decent rate. We were able to get. I didn't really mind that. That kind of was nice because they could come and go. They didn't have to be in the heat all day long. They could go back to the hotel, sit in the pool. And then my son and I, we could go join them and sit in their AC room or sit in the pool and get away from the track because it is being at the track for 7 days. Some of these people are there for over, like I think back in 2000, my daughter and I got there Thursday, and that's a long 9, 10 days. That's a lot of time. No matter how much you love dirt bikes, it's a long time. So I don't know. Camping's kind of fun because you're there, but you need to leave every once in a while. Like I actually look forward to going to a Walmart or somewhere just to get away from that environment, just because it's a lot. It's a lot to take in, no doubt.
Yeah, yeah. And to camp anywhere for a week and a half is gnarly. Even if
Yeah.
it's got, did you get plugins for yours?
No, no, no. So I don't get the plug-in. I don't do that because there's a chance that you could get stuck out in the field. It's still because still some of the field has some hookups, and you're just lower. I'd rather be higher in Stagecoach, and I just like that area a little bit better. So I just run the generator, and that's all we do, and we just run back and forth to get gasoline every 3 nights.
So if I'm a new rider, first time there, do I got to go to tech inspection? Do they check your bikes for anything?
No, actually, they don't. No, they don't. We go through registration. They ask us for our transponders. No, there is actually no, unless I'm mistaken. I don't remember ever having any tech. They do check your transponders prior to going on the track, and then of course your frame numbers as well, getting off the track if you're in the top 10.
When do you draw for your start? Is that the day before? Is that right on the line?
They so they want you up there. I believe it's like 2 motos prior. So you got the guys that are on the gate that are getting ready to go, and then you got the line the moto behind them, and then that's when they want you to start lining up. And so then that's when you're going to draw your number. It's just in a big bucket, and you pick out like a little chip.
Man, that seems like a lot of money. And what blows me away is the fact that they have transponders and they could qualify, they could give you start by the time, they could do it by regions, give all the number ones first picks. Would you
Yeah.
rather they did that or do you like the completely random?
I mean, it depends. It depends if you get a good token out of that bucket. If you don't, I think one year I got 40th, I guess. Yeah, it must have been 40th. I was like, son of a gun. And it was kind of funny because there was only, I think, a few chips left in there. And sure enough, I grabbed the 40. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I think the guy behind me got number two. I was like, you're joking. But I don't know. My first year there back in 19, I kind of thought that's the way it was going to go. I thought you were supposed that you would go like, oh, okay, this guy won his region. So him and the other region guys are going to get their first picks. But it is what it is. It's actually I kind of like it because you get to keep that, you keep your token, and it's nice memento, it's cool.
Yeah, there's a bit of nostalgia to it, but at the same time, man, it for me, it was a little frustrating. I drew an 8 and then like a 38. So that
Yeah,
one was just out the window. Like, because the way Loretta's is, it's not a fair start.
yeah,
Everybody on that inside of the gate has a
yeah,
huge advantage on everybody on the outside, unless you get this massive jump because you're just screwed. And it makes for a long week if you start with a 38 and then
yeah.
don't have a good moto or you're caught up in any of the mayhem that happens in those first few turns.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, yeah, I started on that outside, and I mean, you would have to be so incredibly aggressive and time that gate perfectly. And I still don't think you would maybe get the whole shot, but you'd be okay. But you would be coming across very aggressive on everybody. So yeah,
Yeah, one of my motos I had crashed and DNF, so I had like 40th for like my last moto. So I did that. I
yeah,
timed it, and my dad
yeah,
had a picture of it. I had like a bike length on everybody around me. I still came out in like 16th. I'm like, there's just not much you can do when you're all the way out there. It's just rough, and they rip it pretty deep.
yeah.
What's your favorite part of the track?
I do like Storyland a lot. I like Storyland. I think that's pretty cool. Cool spot. I like that.
How come it gets so deep and rutted? It looked miserable to me.
It is, and it kind of is miserable. But I think it's just so I don't know what it is. It's just you come in there and just like you say, you see all those ruts, and it's just like, what in the world? It's I honestly like it because it's so technical and you just a lot of people don't like slot car racing, which with all these lines they call it slot car racing, but I kind of like it because it's like, okay, if this guy's here, there's no question that if I go two lines over and he messes up, I'm probably gonna have a good shot of possibly it betters my opportunity of passing him. Whereas if it's just completely flat and hard packed, I could go out here and who knows where he's going to go. He could kind of drift over this way, but when the ruts are this deep, you pretty much know he's going to be staying right there. So I'm going to go over here or inside, So that's what I like about it.
What about the Ten Commandments? Are you going to go triple or double double?
I don't know. I will probably go double. I like going inside, so I think I'll go double, 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 triple at the end. Or is it? No, it's just single. Yeah, single, double, double, triple. Yeah, that's probably what I'll do. And I do like taking that inside. Everybody always sweeps outside. I don't know why. I just like that inside. So yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. I just double doubled, but I was on an eight, like a true 80 cc, not like the 85s they have nowadays.
No.
Triple, only guys that were tripling back in my day were like Mike Brown because he was still there
Yeah.
at the time.
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah.
oh, hey, look who joined us. We got Coach Robb coming.
Literally just hung up with the legend himself, Mr. Greg Hill, the BMX legend. So
Wait.
yeah, we did a two-part series, so it was phenomenal. But James, thanks so much for working us in. I know you're pretty tight, trying to get packed up and get out the door.
Without you here, just me and James talking about the race and Loretta's and what to expect. And
Oh,
yeah,
that's going to be the good part. I can't wait to listen to that. That's going to be good.
yeah. Talk trash on you. No, we didn't say anything.
That's all right. You wouldn't be the first, won't be the last. You know how that is.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you jump in here. So James, we'll cut James loose in a second because I know he's got to go get ready. But you got any questions for him, Coach, or anything you want to let people know about James's experience?
Well, Chris, you and I were talking a little bit off the record, just trying to get an idea in regards to this is such a huge race and such a buildup. And I think it's cool because it gives everybody a chance to say, hey, I'm one of the best riders in the country, maybe even in the world. We have a couple of race teams that we own. We have one in Australia, one in the UK. Man, pardon me, everybody wants to come here and race. This is the perception around the world is this is the race. And James is one of those 42 riders. And I think that's cool. James and I and all of our teams have already discussed it's another race. You've got a clutch, a throttle, and a brake. It's just in a different zip code, but it still is another race. But I look at this as kind of the Olympics. It's kind of either put up or shut up. This is a chance when you say, hey, I am the best. Well, you can't say you're the best until you beat the best. And there's no better place to do it than right here. Yeah, we could go down a bunny trail about whether or not the best of the best are there because of mechanicals, injuries, or, I don't think there's any sport that's immune to it. So, James, from your perspective, and I'm going to embarrass you because I know you don't like to talk about it, but I do. Most people don't realize if you watch the movie Top Gun, that's him right there, literally. So, James, you're used to kind of being the best of the best. And I've talked to you about it off the record in regards to most people are not comfortable being leaders. And when you're, going through the 10 commandments and you're leading, this is a double negative. That's a positive. You're not uncomfortable being a leader because that's pretty much what you've done your whole career. What are your thoughts when it comes to something like Loretta's? Do you feel like the best man standing at the end of the week, or do you think that they're like any other racing, there's just enough variables that there's more to be told than what the results show?
No, it's kind of interesting. It's funny. You walk like my wife and I, we were just in the grocery store. Now, don't get me wrong. I understand. I'm 52 years old, and I know the very first thing my daughter is going to tell me when I get off the track is she's going to say, "Were you even trying, Dad?" So, I get it. But for me, to be able to do the best that I could possibly do is pretty cool. And my wife and I were just in the grocery store, and she was helping me pick out all my list, and no one knows, where I'm going, but I felt like I was walking a little bit taller, just knowing, hey, yeah, I'm getting ready to, load up and we're going to the amateur national. We're going to race with with the fastest 50-plus-year-old guys out there. So it's cool. It's fun. And I say this all the time, it doesn't have to be moto. It could be chess. It could be whatever you're into. It's just nice to live a life that you enjoy putting not everything, but most of what you have into it just to better yourself. And it doesn't matter if it's 40th or if it's first, only what you put into it and what you got out of it. And if, at the end of it, you're proud of yourself, that's all that, or you just gave it your all and you felt a little bit of fear and you overcame that. I just think that's what life's about. It's trying to get the best out of yourself, and I love racing for that fact, because I think this is one of the few sports, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think this is one of the few sports where you could actually, like say Carmichael going through a corner, he's going through a corner at say 27 miles an hour, and I'm going through a corner at 7 miles an hour. But I'm at 99% of my limit, and he was at 99% of his limit. And it was just that I did it way slower than he did, but we both got to experience what it felt like to be very close to the edge. And that's what I think is so exciting about racing in general. I think anybody could feel that. You don't have to be the best in the world. So, yeah.
So, James, congratulations on getting through those qualifiers. They're no joke. I mean, if you watch any of the viral shows on YouTube with the Reeds and all these people that are going through it, it is not easy to qualify. You did it. You're riding in a class with a bike size that they don't regulate. You can pretty much run whatever you want as long as it's not electric. And you chose the 350. Now,
Mm-hmm.
in a lot of qualifying tracks, that was probably a disadvantage, but as tight as that Loretta's track is, do you think it's an advantage to have the 350 there?
Yeah, I mean, well, I think it's an advantage to have the 350 in general. Loretta, yes, I definitely think so, because it's technical, it's tight, it's not really all that fast, and you gotta really move your bike around a lot, and that's what I like about the 350. I just do not get that high center of mass feeling. For some of the older guys, to me, it rides more like a two-stroke. I always tell everybody it's like a three-stroke because it kind of feels like it's right in the middle of both of them. And it's just, I have fun riding it, and I feel like I could ride the 350, and no matter how strong Robb gets me, I just have more fun riding the 350. Whereas on the 450, I feel like I manage it the whole time, and that's not as fun. I just would rather me actually feel like I'm riding the bike. It may be at a slow pace, but at least I feel like I'm doing something. So that's good.
Chris, you and I both know he's not at a slow pace.
No,
I
James
love
James
that.
is the real deal. He flies. No, he's legit. He takes it super serious. For a vet rider to focus, like you said, it's kind of cool that you get an opportunity to treat yourself like a professional racer, even if it's only for a week. It's all about you.
Mhm.
It's all about getting the mission done. And it's pretty cool to experience that at a high level.
Yeah,
The other
that's
thing that
cool.
I find really cool about this race is when you look at the idea it's a three moto format. I love that. And I like the idea that it's over multiple days, because you could have one day that's you've got the Midas touch, nothing goes wrong. Next day, or maybe for the next couple of days, everything goes correctly. The other thing that I like about it, and James and I have talked about this with our factory riders, is I think it's interesting how people handle disappointment Tuesday and Wednesday. It's no surprise. I've talked about this publicly before. I don't even go to Loretta's until Thursday, because to me, that's when the race is getting raw. I'm on public knowledge, Chris. We talked about it last year when we were talking about Loretta's. I find that it's the Billy Joel sadness or euphoria. Either people are really, really happy, or the drinking has already begun and it's really, really heavy early in the week, right? And I always find it fascinating, especially when we're looking and scouting for riders, because if you can't handle disappointment, you got a long life ahead of you. That's just the way life is. When you look at something like Loretta's, pardon me, we've seen Zach Freeberg win Loretta's, not even winning a moto. And with some really weird numbers, like a 3, 7, 11 or something. Don't hold me to those exact numbers, but they were big. You got to be in it to win it. You've got 42 guys. You could have a guy that goes 1-1-39 because he breaks. And so to watch people's personalities, whether it's that ability to, I just got done doing a podcast, like I mentioned, and I drank some water and I probably shouldn't have. When you look at the idea that, James, we talked about this just yesterday, you have mental toughness. What causes you to crack? Heat, humidity, whatever. Well, if you use the analogy of a young infant, when they're tired and they're hungry, they're fussy about everything. Well, if you come into Loretta's and you're properly fed, rested, and hydrated, which most of them are not, unfortunately, you're going to have very little mental toughness because every little thing is going to rub you the wrong way. All you've got to do is go to Loretta's and just stand there. Watch the finish line. You can tell the kids and the riders that are fed, rested, and hydrated, and those that if you just said boo to them, they're going to cry. So to watch the ability to bounce back or lack thereof, it shows you the breadth, we call it the bandwidth of mental toughness, which really comes around preparation, and then their ability to be resilient, how quickly they can bounce back from disappointment. Nothing personifies it like Loretta's. 5 days, 3 motos, perfect. Love it.
James, so I don't want to keep you too long. I know you're prepping. You're probably stressing out because you got to get on the road for tomorrow. But where do you know the days? So on Racer TV, we're going to follow your journey, and I'm going to bring you on when you're done, and we're going to talk about it. So tell me some of your goals. What's going to make it a happy weekend? What's going to leave you wanting more? Like, tell me what to expect from James Jetmar this next week.
Right off the beginning, if I just put down a couple of really nice practice times and just good laps, doesn't have to be the whole practice thing, but just a few really good laps that I feel good on, that'll set off the whole tone just fine. Then my next goal would be starts. I really would love to be able to get a 350 to whole shot. I know Mike does it all the time. I think even Andrew Short's going to probably be on a 350 this year. But if I could get one, that would be pretty awesome. And then as far as the motos go, so if I don't get a whole shot, get a good start, and let's keep trying to get under the tent. And if I can, then I'd finish up in the top 10. If I can't, oh well, I'll still be happy with my efforts because I know I won't quit, and I'll just keep going until it's over and load up and get back into the truck. And as always, as soon as you pull in your driveway, you'll take a deep sigh of relief, and you'll just be like, wow, can't believe that's over already. And that'll be that.
And I love what you said there. I'm going to give my best no matter what. And I've always told people in results, like if you go there and you empty the tank and you give everything you have and you win, great. But if you lose, it's easier to live with if you know you gave your best effort. So we're going to be watching you, Coach. You got anything else for James before we cut him loose?
No, just the thing that I want the listeners to keep in mind is there's about 15,000 riders that try to qualify for Loretta's, and they think to themselves, if I could have just made that top 42, there's a lot of disappointed people. Then there's people that are going there, man, if I could just get top 30, and if they don't, they're going to be disappointed. And you can see where I'm going with this conversation. There's going to be people, if I don't get top 20, I'm disappointed. If I don't get top 10, top 5, top 3, and no matter where you go, there's always some level of disappointment, right? So the fact that you've made it to the show, overcoming adversity, I'm not saying this because he's here with us live. It's just, when James and I are talking and he's got an impromptu schedule because he is a professional pilot, when he's on call, he's on call. He might be running on 3 hours of sleep. He might be running on 3 days with no sleep. He might be flying in a plane with somebody who's been sick. He might be flying somebody who is sick. He still has to overcome all of that and still be able to ride, cross train, still qualify like the rest of us. And everybody who's listening, we all have our trials and tribulations. But my point being is just managing disappointment, because it's always easy to be disappointed. But when you've got I think the last year's numbers were a little over 15,000 people tried to qualify for Loretta's for 1,200 that are there. Put that in perspective. And that doesn't count the people around the world who want to come. So no matter where we're at, there'll always be some level of disappointment. And I'm extremely proud of what James has done to even get here. So as far as I'm concerned, the championship's already won. The rest is just gravy. I said the same thing about Chase DeShield because of what he's overcome. Those are our two factory riders that made it. To me, the championship's already theirs. Anything else is just gravy.
And
So
James,
congrats.
the quality time with your daughter, man, I got a daughter. If you can get a week to get her to hang out with her nerdy dad, because it doesn't matter how cool you are, you're a nerd to your daughter. That's awesome, man. Have fun.
Thank you so much. That, and Chris, you don't know what that means because, yeah, she's 19, and the fact that she wants to hang out with me is something cool.
That's
Absolutely.
amazing. That's a win right there. That's a championship.
Absolutely.
So, all right, James, hey, I'm going to let you go. Good luck. We'll be following it, and we will check in with you after, my man. Have fun and
Appreciate
do
it.
your best.
Thanks, guys. See you, Rob. See you, Chris.
Take care, bud.
Cool dude, huh, Coach?
Yeah, James personifies balance. He's got two children in college. Actually, his daughter is going to become one of our CRS certified coaches. She's going to be enrolling in our program. We're going to be doing some beta testing over the next 3 to 4 months. We just recently signed the contract for the platform that's going to be the delivery platform. Something we've been beta testing for about 2 years. Because you can imagine, Chris, if you're an end user, you don't want to get bogged down in the nuances of trying to get access to the curriculum, take the test. So we've been we've been scrutinizing them quite a bit. We had it narrowed down to about 3. We finally chose one, and we've been onboarding it all during the month of July. So we'll have it done here this weekend. So the onboarding goes on, the content's available. We've selected 11 coaches that are going to help us beta test it. And then we're going to go live with it January 1st. So anybody that wants to get an undergraduate degree in exercise physiology, nutrition, sports psychology, relevant, specific to motocross and off-road racing. And it's not going to be where you can just write a check and you're going to be in. We do have some pre-qualifying standards. We also are going to be very cognizant of territory. So we're not going to just have coaches squatting on top of each other. We want to make sure that for the end user, anybody who's watching the show, Chris, if you have an athlete or you are an athlete, we're going to be having certified coaches in your area. And we're going to make sure that you've got something that not every track in America's got. So we're going to up the bar on the knowledge. We're going to be upping the bar on how to teach. So the coaches are going to be, even if they've never been, a factory rider, we're going to teach them the fundamentals of how to teach. Literally, each one of our CRS coaches, if you're in Florida, Georgia, California, Texas, New York, like we have Jamie Hunkler that's up in the New York area, the New England area, right? We want to make sure that what Jamie Hunkler says is exactly what you get in Florida, exactly what you get when you go to Texas, California, anywhere else, both on the bike and off the bike. We have our own insurance. We're going to take it up another notch in regards to making sure that there's consistency in coaching, both on and off the bike.
Coach, that's good to hear. So let's get to some of the fast guys. You know the amateurs a lot better than I do. Who can we look for? Who's your breakout star, do you think, this year heading into Loretta's?
Well, this is a very loaded question, and I hope everybody knows that you and I have not scripted this conversation. That's the first time I've heard you ask that question. I'm going to go out and say I can't talk to anybody above the super mini class. The reason being for a couple. The B class is, in my opinion, very convoluted because it used to be the A class was where it was at. Now, most of the fast laps are coming out of the B class. And even I haven't looked at the roster because it's still getting massaged. I'm not even sure who's racing in the classes. If I'm going to be biased, I'll go out. I work with Liam Olaf. I would say that Liam's going to be ready to race. Obviously, he's got the pedigree of his dad. He's training at MTF, riding for the SLR Honda team. He's going to be super aggressive. I have to go with Zimmerman or Timmerman.
Enzo Timmerman.
Enzo Timmerman. He's the sleeper, I think, that you have to look out for there as well. A lot of people have been looking at the combines and going, oh, he's just not stepping up. There's been some things behind the scenes that he hasn't been 100%. But if you're looking at somebody that's just absolutely got the goods, I think he's one of them. The one thing that's cool about Enzo, he's not a facility kid, Chris. Doesn't ride at a facility.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Something about him, I look at him and I see raw talent. I don't see some kid that's polished on a super fast bike. I see a kid out there working, and I don't think I've ever seen him give up on the track. Like this dude
No.
fights through anything. I saw him
Well,
run 2 classes at Glen Helen. The dude's a
mhm.
beast, and if I was a Mitch or somebody, I'd have my eye on Enzo Timmerman. I think he's
Mhm.
got whatever that is to take that next jump, because that's the
Yeah.
biggest thing that makes these guys a pro. You can win Loretta's, but you still have to be able to make another jump in your
Yeah.
progression. And I look at him and I see a lot of meat on the bone as far as what he can do at the next level.
Well, and then I have nothing against like the Gordon Landons and those of the world that we've seen already at the combines and all. They're on factory programs. There are facility kids. Sure, those guys are going to be there. But when I look at somebody like with Olaf, like I said, he's at MTF, but they're kind of doing their own thing. I think he's going to be hard to beat. Another one is Timbo. He was very good there last year. I think that's going to be another name that you guys can take a look for. Kai Gentry is going to be another one. He's a very quiet young man, great kid, both on and off the bike. Doesn't say much. If you look at a lot of the big races where you had those top 5 guys, Kai Gentry's right there with them. Excuse me. And he's not running anything crazy. His dad owns a shop in Idaho, and he works with Wyatt Lyonsmith, if you guys remember him. So another good riding coach. So yeah, just a lot of good things coming out of that side of the country. But those are really the only ones that I've done a little bit of work with that I'm even knowledgeable about, because the Landon Gordons and those guys, they're club guys. And like I said, they're already kind of living the semi-pro life. No disrespect. It's more about, it'd be a surprise if they don't become the top 5 guys, because they're already living the pro life. So you got to keep that in perspective. If you see the Joe Olafs, excuse me, when you see the Liam Olafs and you see the Kai Gentrys and you see the Timbos, you see those guys wiggling their way in there, recognizing that they're not on the same program as some of these others. That to me is what will make it spectacular. Not whether they got second. It's the idea that they're able to surpass people who are already living that pro life. So a lot on the bone there.
I thought Timbo went pro full time, didn't he?
No, he's doing just like everybody else doing
Okay.
too. Well, if he got a point, because he did do several races. So if he ended up staying out there and getting points, I haven't looked at the points. I know that I've talked to him and he's on Energy Fuel and he's been using it. But we got him that product before he went out and did those pro nationals. But when I spoke to him, I was under the impression that he was going to just do those just to kind of get his feet in the water, dip his toe in the water.
Yeah,
But
probably.
no, I was thinking Nick Way's son.
He's in B
Vincent.
class.
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking that he went out and did, but that's more of the combines instead of the pro class. So,
But I'll tell you what, when I watch Vincent Way, he's smart. He
oh
has
yeah.
his line choice and the way he thinks on the track. He's
Mm-hmm.
good. I don't know if he's going to win here, but you're going to see Vincent Way for a long time in this sport.
Well, the one thing I'll say with Vincent, and everybody knows his dad, he's a legend, great guy. I've never met him personally. I'd like to. He seems like a really cool guy. They're playing long game. They don't really care about, and that's the cool thing. Every rider that I work with, I'm very thankful for. You saw my post that I put on with Chase DeShiel, right? I mean, um, dealing with some very disappointing injuries earlier in the year. If you saw my social media post, unfortunately just had was coming up over a jump, loses a front end, ends up taking a handlebar, pokes his core apart pretty good, gets a nice little helicopter ride to the hospital. Didn't look good for a while, to be very honest. And to see him be able to get back on the bike, get back out there, qualify. That's why I said, even like with James, right? Just qualifying, being there, I don't really care. Anything over and above it is just cherry on top. But yeah, Vincent, he's playing long game. And then when you start getting down into the 85 class, the Sawyer Geiks, the Aiden Steinbrecher, those guys, they're all playing long game. And, yes, and I don't want that to come across the wrong way. Them winning is not a surprise because that's just what champions do on the way up. But they also know it's racing. Aiden Steinbrecher, he got picked up by PC after being not re-signed by KTM because of budget cuts. So that's really, really a cool situation. He's, PC powered underneath the hood there. Yeah, I'm really, really excited to see how both those guys do there. There's a lot. Nolan Ford's coming back defending the number 1. I'm very fortunate to work with all 3 of those guys. Whenever you're around them, it's interesting because their age is way beyond their maturity, or their maturity is way beyond their age. Excuse me. I said that upside down and backwards. Those three guys, when you talk to them, you'd swear you were talking with James Jetmar. Very sophisticated, good vocabulary. Props are their parents. Education is very important, as well as being very fast on a motorcycle. And the parents are really focused on making sure that they stay healthy. They don't allow them to get burnt out and run into the ground. So that's why I was saying that super mini class is the one that I have the most experience with going in there.
Yeah,
KTM's got a
Nolan Ford. He impressed me a lot last year. And which class is Deshelle in?
I have no idea. He qualified in 4 different classes. So that way, and again, this is what I love about Chase and his dad and his mom. They wanted to see who was going to register for what. He wanted to go to where the most stacked class was. So I don't honestly know, and I honestly haven't looked at it, the registration / roster, only because it'll continue to shift around a little bit. And I don't have time to chase it.
But
So I
he's
honestly
still
don't
on
know.
minis or super minis though, right?
No, yep, exactly.
Okay. Okay. I was just checking, make sure.
And
I
like when
wasn't
you look at Nolan, Nolan he's at that, you might remember that season when it was, I was working with Logan Best at the time, and it was Daxton Bennett, Casey Cochran, and Hayden Deegan. Remember, Daxton was winning everything. But remember, Daxton was at that size where it looked like he was about to wrap his knees around the handlebars. Nolan isn't quite that, but Nolan is in that perfect sweet spot where he's going to throw that thing around like it's a 65. It's really cool. And Sawyer Geick is super strong. And the way he finesses the bike, like he's a thinker. Like you'll never see him just face something and, obliterate himself. But yeah, all these guys, they're so polished. They're so good. And from what I've heard, talking with some people, I guess they brought in some sawdust. So it's going to get super rough and deep. And I love it because like Sawyer, very finesse. Nolan, he can, I won't say he's Barsha style. He reminds me more of like a Tomac. Like he can muscle the bike and put it wherever he wants it. And then Aiden is kind of like right in the middle of both of those because of his size. Super strong for his size, though. If you look at him, very, very strong. So not because of me, only because of the work they put in. I'm not taking credit for it. I can only suggest certain things, but what those guys do, strength to weight ratios are phenomenal. They're fun to watch, all 3 of them.
So we mentioned some of your guys. Are there any others, or is that all your guys going?
Well, we've got the 2 Davis girls. We have Reagan and Riley. They'll be there. We have Seven Henderson. He'll be there. We have a total of 11 that will be there at the race. They're either on our elite team or our factory team. So yeah, there's a lot going this year. And I feel bad. It's the first time in 19 years that I personally won't be able to go. So the timing isn't good, but yeah, it's our best showing in one season. We had 13 people that tried and 11 that qualified.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. They'll miss you there, coach, but I'm sure they understand something's going on. So
Yep,
yeah,
exactly.
more important stuff. All right, coach. Well, what do you think of this week? Any predictions or any last words for us?
I just love Loretta's because there is a lot of buildup that gets put on it for obvious reasons. And I just think like I said with James, I just think it's cool watching how people respond to disappointment. Even a lot of people don't know how to handle success because it's new to them. So it is interesting to listen. And I like to always go and listen to the podium speeches, because you have some people, like when I worked with Adam C., we practice podium speeches, believe it or not. In a true story, I used to say to AC, that's when Erin Bates was still in the sport. And you remember Erin, she's 6'3", just a beautiful lady. And I used to tease Adam that his nose was going to end up, right in the center of her chest. So he needed to be ready so he didn't just sound like a blubbering idiot. And those were comments that I would actually have with Adam. I'm like, make sure that you're able to, speak. Don't be like, blah, 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 blah. And so I always love the podium speeches because you can see the ones that have been practicing it, i.e. they've anticipated they were going to be there. When you think about something like Herschel Walker, when ESPN used to actually cover sports, remember when you had Sports Center? And I remember him being interviewed and the reporter asked me, he said, Herschel, why don't you celebrate and dance in the end zone? And he looks right at the camera and he goes, that's what I get paid to do. I'm not surprised when I get in there. And I just thought that was such a profound comment there. But yeah, also, I'm sorry, I forgot about the 65 class. We have Caden Sedgwick that's in there. We have Jack Defendahl that's in there. Yeah, I apologize. I totally forgot about the 65 class. Not that it doesn't matter, but when we were going from the top down, I didn't go to the smaller bikes there. So,
Are those kids going against Carter Gray? I became a Carter Gray fan last year.
Yeah, They're all in that same class. You know, the 65 class it's not as partitioned off as much as the 85s. But I do expect top 10s out of both of those guys, to be honest with you. They've really come into their own. And what's interesting with both of those athletes is they've developed mentally at a much quicker pace than I really thought they would. You know how it is when you're dealing with mental development. I know this may be a bad throw 30 pounds at the wall and see how much sticks. And it's just the intelligent level with these little guys is just next level. Not because I have the privilege of working with them, but if you were on the phone with me every week and you ask them a question, you do not get one word answers. You get a continuous engagement. And to me, it's when you're looking at what champions are made of. And I would challenge anybody who's listening to this, who has a young rider, when you're at the track with your rider and they come off the track, just simply ask them a question. I mean, you could get into the bike. How's the bike handling? If you get one word answers, you need to work on that.
You know what, coach? And that's something in this generation of I stare at my phone and iPad all day and I can't talk to people. If your kids have that one skill, they'll be successful in life because not many people have that skill anymore. And if you can give them that, you've just handed them the tools to be success.
Well, I agree with you. And I want to add one extra dynamic. Everybody that's going there wants to become a pro. Well, when you become a pro, you have a team of people that work with you. You have suspension specialists, you have chassis specialists, you have tires, gear. So when you're asked, hey, how's the bike handling? It's not okay to say good. It's unacceptable. And so what's interesting is, especially the younger your athlete, the more important it becomes. You're not being a hard ass by asking them, please elaborate. When you say the bike's handling good, what does good mean? What is it doing that's giving you the opinion that it's handling good? Chris, you and I can go on the exact same vacation and both of us have completely different opinions of it. I love the beach and the heat. You can't stand the heat and the sand. We were in the same place, but two different results or two different outcomes on how we perceived it. So when an athlete's out on the track and you ask them, how's the bike handling? And they say good, write down what that means. Because then when they come in and they say it's not handling good, what is the benchmark that you're shooting for? Like whenever we do a performance camp, and you've been with us when we were out at Western, remember when we went out and we had everybody get warmed up and I asked how many set the sack? Not one.
That's not true. I did.
Yeah. But you didn't get a chance to count on that because you know how important that is with all of your background. And that's the crazy part, right? People are spending money on suspension, chasing suspension, not knowing what they're chasing, and they haven't set foundation. What are we doing?
Well, it's like doing a bench press and saying, oh, I need another plate, but you don't even know what you started with. You got to at least know what you started with to get to a certain number. You can't start blind. And if you haven't set your sag, you're chasing something that doesn't exist. Now you're putting your bike all out of whack.
Exactly. And now take it one step further, right? You go on and you get to a point where you do get people that are trying to help you out and you are in a position that you can't explain what you want. Now, yes, I know there's people like Derek Harris with HP Development. He can look at the bike and tell you what's wrong with it. I understand that. But if you talk to anybody that's at a factory level and they're trying to work with these kids, it's like pulling teeth. They're like, these kids don't know, to your point, Chris, they don't know how to communicate. And unfortunately, with a lot of the kids, they think that when you're asking them to elaborate on their thoughts, that you're painting them into a corner. And they don't see it as you're trying to help them. They see it as, oh, you're just trying to challenge me to try to prove what I don't know. So this is where it's important for the parents to set an environment where the kids feel safe to, maybe they give an incomplete answer. We'll keep asking questions until you get the framework of what you need. You know, we could talk about suspension setup, everything to the thickness and the density of the seat foam, the thickness of the grips. I mean, everything and all that matters. And this is another area where I think a lot of the kids, we don't need to mention any names, but there were some kids that grew up on the Kawasaki program who never were asked or challenged. Everybody wiped their nose for them and everybody tightened their helmet up for them and then when they went pro, you could just see that it was like, boom, just a complete plummet. And I don't think it's the athlete's fault. I really don't. I think we need to do a better job of creating an environment where we're like, hey, you know, what is it that you like the bike is doing? And then tomorrow we want to come back and make sure that, yeah, the track's going to change, but we know what you like. So we're going to try to set that up based on how the track has changed. That's another reason why I love Loretta's. It's a completely different track every single day. And, you know, regardless of what anybody thinks about the race in regards to like it's so technical or it's so deep or it's a tight track, everybody has to race it, you know. So I don't really like to go down those threads of thought. When you go to a pro national, everybody has to race it as it is. And that's the cool part about pros is they learn how to improvise. And that's why I love to watch this, not that the B class isn't fun to watch, but those are guys are getting ready to go pro. They're kind of set in their ways, you know. The B class for me is frustrating because I call it the too cool for school class. Because the challenge that I run into is, let's say that I've had somebody since a 65 and we get them up to the 250 class and they're doing well, right? They get an OEM deal. They've got a gear deal. They might have a drink deal. Well, they've listened to my voice for 4, 5, 6 years. And now they think they've arrived. I can't even get them to step on the scale twice a day.
Yeah, well, that's that
It's
age,
the
that
curse of
age
the
in
B.
general, coach.
It's the curse of the B class. Because here's the problem. I've had B class kids that if they didn't get to that super premium level, they still were willing to learn because they weren't the best. But the ones that we've gotten to where they're like the top 5, you lose them every single time. It doesn't matter how nice they are as 65 riders. It does not matter how nice their parents are. The curse of the B class. I wish, Chris, if I could literally step back and film it so that the listeners could watch it. You know what I mean by that is you could literally, the play would be so identical. You could overlay them and not have less than a 1% deviation. You could predict it from a mile away. And it's so frustrating because it's like they go, go, go. And then now they're too cool for school. So they start to dive off.
Well, and that's the downfall of having an event that is so cool that treats them like rock stars. The problem is when they believe they're a rock star before they actually get to what they're trying to get to, which is the pro nationals. I mean, even the guys at the pro nationals that get to the top and don't, keep doing the same things that got them there, they don't last long. And it's another tool.
I'll politely disagree with you because I don't think it's the event's fault. I think it's the
No,
people.
no, I'm not saying it's necessarily the event. It's
Okay.
that small amount of fame you get from an event that makes you
Right.
feel like a rock star. No, I
Yep.
love that the event does that. Absolutely
Yeah.
100%. And I love it's that they simulate the same things, but then
Mhm.
when somebody will be drunk on fame and who won't.
Right. Well, and this is what's so cool. Um, I'm just going to mention events. I'm not saying one's got a higher status over the other, but just looking at it on a calendar, right? You've got Daytona in March, you've got your spring nationals, then you've got your areas and your regionals. In there, you've got Mammoth, AZ Open, Cal Classic, Ponca, World Minis. You have all these events. And what's so cool about it is when you see somebody who may not win every one of them, but they're not very far out of top 3 or 5. And that's that idea of being able to show up on race day and perform. I always use Michael Phelps as an example, right? We all can sit back and be enamored, but the bottom line is he knew how to step up at the Olympics. And we can only look at it in awe, but to learn that at such a young age, that's why I love our sport. It's such a young person sport. And I think it's cool that you're seeing the Andrew Shorts. I know Chad's not racing, but Chad was coming back. Ricky's been there. Emig's there. Brownie's there. Hope he's feeling better and healing up, But when you think about, we're asking these little guys and girls to be physiologists, engineers. They're supposed to learn everything about the physics of how a motorcycle set it up, how it changes, how the dirt changes. Think about all of these. No disrespect to my professional triathletes, right? But the road doesn't change very much. But the track changes every single lap and the moisture goes away. And then the bike setup changes and the way you ride it and how you pop the throttle. And we ask that of very, very young athletes.
Yes.
And it's next level. I love this sport for that reason. It's so cool.
And it is so tough. And my advice to the families is there's 40 racers on every gate want to win that. Only one gets to take this event, do your very best, be happy with a good performance, and learn and enjoy your family time. I see so many parents that pay all that money, and then if you don't win, you're not going to have a career. And it turns into a nightmare. Don't do that. Don't be one of those people. Enjoy the time with the family, enjoy the lessons, learn how to overcome, and just have a great time at Loretta's because it is a beautiful thing when it's done right.
I mean, how many times have you talked to the one that comes to mind is like Emig or Villapoto talking about the great memories that they have being at Loretta's for the week and seeing friends, and especially with, at East Coast and West Coast comes together. Another rider that I forgot about, I'm forgetting about the 125 class. I sincerely apologize. Luca Medica, another top guy that we work with. Again, crazy, smart young man. He's going to kind of dupe you into wanting to play golf with him. He will eat your lunch. He's up there with Sexton and Bailey and those guys in regards to being good golfers. And you should see him surf. It's ridiculous. Believe it or not, on your Garmin, there's actually a surf app, and you get a list of how long he rode each wave. It's just crazy, the stuff that he's able to do. So like literally in a given week, I'll look at his dashboard. He's mountain biking, surfing, golfing, riding, supercross. I mean, he's a super cool kid, great parents. And I'm trying to think of any other class that I may have forgotten. They all kind of get lost there and that's my fault, not theirs. But yeah, I hope everybody enjoys it. The best riders in the sport, the Stewarts of the world, they all talk about. Loretta's was a memory. It brings the East Coast and the West Coast together, and it's some of the best. And I can't wait to see it. I love to watch it. I love 3 races, long motos, hot. It's good. You can't hide from it.
All right, Coach. Well, we'll update your guys throughout the week. I'm going to be doing daily updates on the races. I'll definitely update on where your guys are finishing and what's going on with them, with any information that you have. And anything else you want to get off your chest?
Nope. I just thought we have Kenzie Wynette. I think you got a chance to meet her. She's in the girls class as well. So we've got 3 in the girls class. And we've got Luca there in the 125, 265s, and then a plethora of them in the Super Mini 85 class. So yeah, it's going to be good to watch. So nope. Thank you, Chris, so much. Thanks for bringing James on. I think it'll be cool to talk to him afterwards. And for everybody who's racing, have a wonderful time. Enjoy every single minute of it. Enjoy every lap. Just remember, there's thousands of people that wish they were even able to qualify. So congratulations to each and every one of you.
Awesome. Thank you, Coach. You're the best.
Appreciate you. Appreciate you, buddy.
Let's start this off by saying, we got them. The illegal sale of American motorcycle racing. I present a case that reveals how the American Motorcyclist Association's 2008 sale of its racing properties constituted an illegal transfer of public trust into private hands. My name's B. Maisie, and I'm here to stir shit up. So I made a song for you guys. It's crazy that the riders still gotta pay to race, even though these guys are just filling their pockets because they're money-hungry, greedy, stupid mother, ex-circus owners, but still got the same mindset for the Supercross. Screw Feld, screw the AMA, and screw Robb Dingman.